Hello, everybody. Jim Malone here, coming to you live from Dallas trading floor. Well, we have we have seen Tesla move up a little bit, and so that's a good thing. It moved beyond a buy point, which is very very exciting because that means that if it holds on to this and it moves above the next buy point, which is at 502. It looks like we may be for a very good, we may be in for some very good stuff when it comes to when it comes to Tesla because it may move higher. So this is pretty exciting. Always like to see it when it moves above the buy point. Of course, the buy point on Tesla, the short-term buy point, is 465. 90. So the fact that it moved beyond 465.90 is a very, very good thing. That means basically that we're in potentially back to an uptrend, which would be excellent. So without further ado, let's take a look kind of at the slides. And I'm pretty excited about this. I went in and I bought a full position yesterday before this move. Then today, I bought another full position, and if it moves above 502, then I will probably be buying yet a third position. So I'm pretty happy about that. The market is in a confirmed uptrend. We're at 11,874 on the Nasdaq. It's down a little bit when this slide was taken, but it's kind of getting moving a little bit sideways, but definitely holding, which is really good. Down a little bit on the S&P and a little bit on the Dow Jones, but overall, the market seems to be doing fairly good. I just wanted to show you a slide of the Spider, and of course, what the Spider is it's an exchange traded fund or an ETF. Sometimes I refer to it that, and it's kind of confusing for some people. But what it is they take all of the stocks that are in the S&P, they put them and they put them in there on the index just as the value is. So every Friday it changes basically the total makeup in terms of all of the the allocations. Now, what's significant about this is that Tesla, which had been a huge component, which has been a huge component in terms of the Nasdaq, it basically became part of the index. And that's very significant in that now any of these, the Spider and all the other index funds that cover the S&P are basically going to have to take a position in Tesla. And this should support the stock somewhat and as these funds move in, because they're not going to all move in at once. They're going to move in gradually. And the S&P 500 was off a little bit today when this slide was taken at 359. The key level on this is about 350 on the Spider. So we're definitely above that. It's good. We're pulled out back a little bit. We're definitely good though. That 350 level, if we can hold that 350 level, probably pretty good. I wanted to shift over to also the this is called the QQQ Trust. This is another extremely large ETF that covers basically the entire what's contained in the Nasdaq 100. And of course, Tesla's already part of this index. Now, of course, Tesla is going to be part of the S&P 500 index. So there's going to be some support and some buying of Tesla, which is exciting as well. The key level on the QQQ Trust is about 275 currently. And as you can see, there is a line here. This is the 40-day moving average. And as long as we're above that in an upward trend, which we're definitely in now, that is a good sign, at least for the near-term future. We probably will be adding to our positions as we seem to be recovering some strength. And the direction of the market currently is up. So that's very important. Now, there was a little bit of a pullback on the Dow Jones. Now, what is the Dow Jones? Well, I'm actually showing you a slide of the Diamond, or DIA, and basically this covers the Dow Jones 30. There's only 30 stocks in the Dow Jones, but there's some of the largest stocks, such as Disney, Boeing, and those kind of things. It was off a little bit today. We thought that there was going to be a rotation into a lot of these Dow stocks, but that seems to have stalled a little bit. We seem to have, again, we're back to the strength in the QQQ, which is the Nasdaq, and also in some of the S&P issue. So that's significant. I also want to show you a psychological indicator, and I use this from time to time. It's actually put out by the Investor Business Daily, which I think is a very reputable service. And if you are so inclined, they have a digital version, and I'm not paid anything for them. I wish I was. Some of their stock charts, and I use a lot of their stock charts because I think they're really excellent. But this is what they call the high-low ratio, and what this basically says is that this is showing kind of, are we seeing a trend change? And it definitely, we were a few right before the election. You can see that we were, the trend was basically moving down, and then now it has moved up. So basically, what this ratio is that with a high ratio of 2, basically we are going to continue in the uptrend that we have seen. So I kind of like to show that indicator, just basically, basically to kind of cover that. Just want to show you my current holdings. Again, as you know, I am a Tesla bull. I did move in to another position in Tesla, and I just kind of want to show you what I'm currently have in my portfolio. Now, again, I don't carry a lot of positions. I carry typically about 8 positions at any one time, but I move them in and out depending on how they're doing. I'm in Cloudflare, which is symbol NET. It's down a little bit today, not too much, about 48 cents, but it definitely is down. I'm also in GBTC. Now, this is a very interesting ETF that I kind of want to put out there. I do believe that that Bitcoin can be a very good hedge in your portfolio. But the problem with Bitcoin, of course, is it's not that fungible in terms of it's not that easy to buy and sell. There's a big difference between the bid and the ask price, typically, if you're buying the actual coins themselves. There is an alternative to that, and that is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC. And the way that works is they hold about 4% of the world's Bitcoin, and so you can move in and out of that easily. It's moved up today a little bit, about 18 cents, or at 20.34. So it's very affordable, and it's a good way to hedge your portfolio. I'm also in Form Factor. That is a company that does forms for ICs, sort of in the IC packaging area, sort of in the equipment area, and it's doing fairly well. It's up 23 cents today, about $40.08. ResMed, I'm also in ResMed. I do think that, I don't know if I will be selling this or not, but ResMed is the sleep apnea company. And of course, a lot of people have sleep apnea. I do. And I definitely have done, but their stock is moved down a little bit, but it is still up, basically. Imphy is a 5G chip play, and there was a buyout offer on Imphy from Marvell Technologies for $157. So and it was a stock versus cash deal. So I am in that, at least for a while. It's up 45 cents. Tupperware, interestingly enough, that's symbol TUP, just recently entered this position. It's just done very, very well, and I'm in that as well. And then, of course, today, starting yesterday, I started to move into the Tesla position. Just want to show you something that I have on my radar that you might be interested in. This is an interesting stock. I don't totally recommend it. I haven't done all the research on it, but it's a good one. It's an IPO. It's called Corsair Gaming, and the symbol on Corsair Gaming is CRSR. It's up $3.33 today, or about 10%, which is fairly amazing because it has not been out very long at all. The volume's up 19%, and it's at 99 relative composite rating, so it's in the top 1% currently of stocks that are trading. So this is one you might want to put on your radar, and I definitely am. I'm not in it currently, but it's looking strong. We're going to see how it trades. I typically won't go into a stock until I look, especially with an IPO, until I look seeing kind of how it trades, because you can get into some difficulty there if that's the case. So it's sometimes difficult to be in that sort of to be in a trade like that. So without further ado, thank you very much for holding on. here. We do have some people already ready. And by the way, this, for everybody that's on TikTok, I am simulcasting this with charts on YouTube. So if you want to jump over to YouTube, super easy to do. All you do, just youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor. And this is episode number 177. So, and then I am broadcasting it live so that, and after the show, of course, we'll have it in the podcast as well. So that's a good thing to go here. So let's, without further ado, the first question is from Mr. Sid. Thank you so much. Good morning, Jim. Waiting from yesterday, your thoughts on Tapestry, TPR. Let's take a look at Tapestry, TPR. All right. And, of course, I did not answer. I couldn't get to everybody, unfortunately, yesterday. A lot of people. Very interesting company. I want to show you this chart. We have a very nice ascending base. We have a very nice ascending chart. This is the kind of thing you want to look at. By the way, the first thing you do when you look at a chart, and I always look at the weekly chart first. Now, I have it set on the daily, but let's pull it over to the weekly. The first thing you do is you look to see what is the general trend of the issue. Currently, the trend for this one is up. Now, it had been in a downward trend, as you can see, but the character changed, and it changed basically right about here in about the June 15th time frame, and then it based out, and then now it has started to move right up very nicely above up the 21-day exponential average. So I'm going to kind of show you that. So that's the first thing you want to look for, is you want to make sure that looking at the chart, take a look at the weekly chart first, and then see what is the general direction of the trend. Now, 1 or 2 days do not make a trend, so that's why you want to use the weekly chart. But if you have 5 or 6 weeks and you're showing a nice trend up, that's what you first want to look for. The second thing is we have a very strong relative strength on this of 93. So that means that this stock against the S&P 500 is trading. This is in the top 7% of that. We also have this little line here. This is a blue relative strength line, and it is pointing up. This is also very bullish. We want to see that. Now, the next place that we look on this chart is we look down here to see if we've had volume, and we definitely did. We have volume coming into this very nicely down below the chart. Now, the upper part of the chart, if you can see this, is the actual price action. But on all other on charts, you also have below the price action, there is also the volume. We always want to look for a stock that has a lot of blue in my particular chart, meaning that it's purchasing volume. So we definitely have that there. So let's look at the checklist to see if we can buy this thing. Well, the checklist looks pretty good. It's 7 out of 9. I typically have to have at least 6 out of 9, and this is on the O'Neill checklist. And by the way, if you're a fan of CanSlim, that's the trading system that I use, this is all put forward in the book, How to Make Money in Stocks, a winning system, good times or bad. So that is in there. And by the way, I could show you, it's also available off the www Dallas Trading Floor website and the Learn to Trade tab. Anyways, very nice checklist on this one. Let's look at the funds. The funds are, I would like to see more funds coming into this, but the fund sponsorship is good. This is a little bit of this is not a perfect scorecard, but it's pretty good. 1,015 funds are in this. Now, currently, none of the really big funds that I like to see are in this, like Fidelity Contra Fund or Lord Abbott. They're not in this currently. So that's good, but it's not great. Let's look next at and this is kind of what I do on each chart. So let's look at the increasing sales. Now, in growth stocks, and that's primarily what I trade, is growth stocks, one of the most important things to look at is increasing sales. Now, profits are important as well, but remember, the stock market is a forward-looking indicator. And so if we can see nice growth in terms of profits, that's something we want to look for. Now, there is a little bit of a problem here with Tapestry because we don't have increasing sales. Our sales have been quarter over quarter. They were off a little bit of 14%. Now, we did have an interesting thing happen here. They just came through earnings, and this is a good thing. The earnings year over year were up 45%. So even though the sales were down, the earnings were up. So that's a good sign. Now, the question is, can we buy this, and where can we buy this? Well, I tell you, if I were going to be in the stock, and I'm not currently in the stock, I would want to see it come above the $30.46 level. It's currently at 28.18. This is not good enough for me to buy right now. I want to see a little bit more conviction. I want to see it move above that 30.18 level before I'm looking at it. But this is definitely, you could definitely put this on the watch list, and it would definitely be a good one to watch. But currently, I would watch this one. I would not buy this one just because of those factors that I was talking about. Now, let's look at DraftKings, and that's DK. That's DraftKings is DKNG. DKNG is the symbol for DraftKings. And DraftKings, a little bit different story on DraftKings. It does have an upward trend as well. This is a recent IPO as well. Tapestry, I guess, wasn't, so that doesn't really count. But with this one, it is a recent. This is a recent IPO. We have strong buying in here. Very nice. It's up $4.75 today. So this is excellent. I do believe that we are right at a buy point on this one. There is a consolidation, third stage consolidation base, and the pivot on it, the buy point on that, is 44.79. It's right now 47.59. So it's definitely buyable. This is a buyable stock as we speak. It definitely has increasing fund ownership, 271. I love that. It has Fidelity Contra Fund. That's the good housekeeping seal of approval. It has a strong checklist, 6 out of 9. Typically, I want to see at least 6 out of 9. 7 out of 9 is better. Of course, 100% is the best, but this is definitely good in that area. So could you buy this on this? Well, let's go to the daily chart to see if there's an entry point. I definitely think there is an entry point, and I believe it's right at the buy point is 44.79. So I'm going to put that on the chat. I do think there's a good opportunity in DraftKings, DKNG, and the buy point on this one is equal to 44.79. 44.79. Now, what do I mean by the buy point? Well, the way the buy point works is we typically want to buy stocks as they're going higher. I know this sounds very strange to most people. Why would you want to get a bargain? Well, you do want to get a bargain, but the problem in stocks is, remember, you're not buying to keep it. You're buying it to resell it. So the important thing is you buy high going higher. The buy point is an area that it's safer to buy at because that forms a little bit of a floor to that price. So we want to buy stocks right before they're coming through the buy point or just after they've come through the buy point. That's an optimal place to buy them. With DraftKings, there's a buy point at 44.79 on a third stage consolidation base. Now that, I know that's technical. There's different kinds of chart patterns that you're looking for. A consolidation base is a good base pattern, but it's not the best. The best, of course, is cup with handle. But I definitely like DraftKings, and I would buy it at this level. Now, I wouldn't buy it above 46.48. So it's really, we're really right at the top of the buy zone. You could hold and see if it pulls back a little bit. It might. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I think it's going to hold right to the 40-day moving average. So I think it's going to retake that line, and then I think once it does, you're going to see some people see it move higher. I do believe that this will top out probably somewhere. The next buy point up is going to be about 64.19. So that's a lot of technical information there. But I definitely look at DraftKings as being very good at this point. So great. Thanks, Gunnar. Appreciate it. Hi, Jim. And happy Tesla Day. Boy, I agree with you. Tesla Day is great. I'm trying to learn how to trade. My thoughts are that ARK has confirmed a new uptrend in today's movement. And we're now safer buy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Gunnar, this is very good. I'm glad you bring this up because this is what a buy point is. There is the buy point that was just exceeded, and the reason that was so bullish, and the reason I put out I haven't put out an action trade alert on this one, but I did put out a video on TikTok about this. Uh, when we went beyond that 465.90 level on Tesla, that's when we went through the first buy point. There is a secondary buy point and a better buy point at 502. So if Tesla continues upward on the upward trend and it moves past 502, that's even a stronger symbol, that a signal that it will go even higher. So let me look at I'm going to pull up the weekly chart of Tesla. Put that up on the screen so you can see it. Here we go. And basically what this is we have exceeded. We're in this. If you can see this, it's kind of hard to see on the chart, so a little bit. But there's this little dotted line at the bottom at about 340, and then there's this line at 502. So we're definitely in the consolidation. We've almost reached the top of the consolidation. Currently today, it's up about 19% or $77.92. So it's very good. So can you still buy this one? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, it's safer to buy it above 502. Now, remember, when you get to a buy point, and I'm going to try to put out a trade alert on this tonight, when you get above the 502, we want to buy it within 5% of that. So the way to the buy zone for Tesla, as it's going up, you do want to kind of probably wait a little bit now until it has achieved the 502 level. Once it's achieved that 502 level, then it's possible to go up. Now, about 5% is about $25. So on a $500 ticket. So we're typically the buy zone for Tesla, once it goes beyond the 502 level, is going to be from about 502 up to about 527. That's going to be your optimal place to buy it. Now, will it go below that? It can. Absolutely, it could reverse and go down. But the signal today, and the reason that's so significant, is because it went through that first buy point at 465.90, and then now it may, we don't know how it's going to close today, but it may go above that 502. Always remember that where you want to compare your prices is not how it opens in the day, but where it ends. So you want to look at that closing price. That's going to give you an idea of where to go. If it goes above 502 tonight, then I think that we have a serious opportunity to buy Tesla going higher. So thank you very, very much for that, Gunter. And by the way, I'm going to try to talk a little bit more about trading strategies and stuff like that on the show. So thank you very, very much. Okay, so thank you, Byron. Hi, Jim. Can you please look at UNH? It appears to be a flag. Okay, well, and what is a flag? Well, thank you very much for bringing that up, Byron, because a flag pattern is one of the most bullish patterns that you can get. So let's look at UNH, and let's see if we have a flag pattern. Well, definitely not on the weekly chart. Typically, okay, we do sort of have. This is not a true flag, by the way. Just wanted to be upfront about that. Thank you very much for showing that. This here is not a true flag. There was a gap up, but it looks like we're losing a little bit of strength, and we're pulling back to the 21-day exponential at 337.96. It's currently at 344.63. So it's down about $7.47. Now, would you buy it at this point? I would recommend not buying this at this point because it needs to change direction. I think that what's going to happen here is it's going to pull back to that 21-day line, and that 21-day line is at 338.38, and I believe, hopefully, it will reverse. And when it reverses higher, then you can possibly buy it. But currently, you do not want to buy it at this low at this time. Let me see if I can find a trend. It came off a double bottom. There is a buy point on it at 323.82. So we want to be a little bit careful buying this right now because it definitely could pull back significantly. So, and this is United Health. HN, and the buy point on this one is equal to, and I'm going to give you that exactly here in just a second, on a double bottom pattern, 232, 323, oh, 323.82. How could it get us in there? 323.82. So that's the buy point on the double bottom pattern. And here's the issue with United Health. Now, United Health will probably do better in a Democratic administration because healthcare typically gets the healthcare costs aren't if a Democratic administration is seated in the election. Typically, they have a lot of allies in the healthcare field, and they don't cut costs. So that will be bullish typically for somebody like United Health. So that's looking good for them. There's several things about United Health that I do not like, and I just want to be upfront about this. We did have a very, very strong buying here just basically a week ago when the election results came in, and it looked like, and it still looks like Biden is going to be the president, but we don't know with this situation. And then it was very bullish. It's pulled off since then because there's a little bit of doubt. The earnings were not as good as the quarter earnings actually were down 10% quarter over quarter. So United Health is not as good as some of the other alternatives. It's 6 out of 9 in the terms of the O'Neill checklist, which I typically like to see because that will show if it's a kind of a growth stocky, that's kind of my term for it, chart. But 6 out of 9 is good. It's definitely my minimum, but it's very good. We do have Fidelity Contrafund in here with 2.89%, and this is a very, very big position by a fund like Fidelity Contrafund. So this is bullish. Now, would I buy it at these levels? I don't think I would. I don't think I would buy it at these levels just because I think there are better opportunities out there right now. Would I watch this? Absolutely. In terms of the big stocks, the big cap healthcare, this is one of the best. But right now, I can't really say that it would probably be a best for a buy. I think you're really, unfortunately, I think you're really kind of you're going to have to watch this for a little bit. Thanks for waiting, everybody, on TikTok. I was taking questions primarily from the chat off of YouTube, so I appreciate your hanging on. Have a question here. Thoughts on Amazon? Let's take a look at Amazon to see kind of how that's trading. AMZN, of course, is the symbol for Amazon. Okay, it's off today, $23. But remember, this is one of the most expensive stocks out there at $31.05. So very expensive stock, but off a little bit. It's got a relative strength of 83. This is in tactical terms. Is it a buy yet? Well, I do think it's going lower. I do think it's going lower. It's below the 40-day average, which it did pick up a little bit today on the relative strength. It's at 83. My minimum is an 80, believe it or not, on the relative strength. So I still like this stock, but here's the thing. Going into the end of the year, I think you've got to be aware of many of the big cap tech stocks that have done so well during the last year. There's going to be a lot of selling in this because many of the funds are going to have to cover losses in other areas. So I do believe that you're going to see pullbacks in some of the big tech stocks. I'm talking like the Amazons, the Apples, but not Tesla, because Tesla doesn't really qualify in that. So I think you have to be careful with an Amazon. Amazon's a great company, but I just don't think now is the right time to move into it. It has an 8 out of 9 relative checklist, which is excellent. And of course, this is one of the most heavily invested stocks by the funds. And it's got all the best funds in there. Fidelity Contrafund has 9.51% of the stock. So very, very excellent in terms of that. So long term, I think it's really good. But tactically, I think that you have to be a little bit more careful buying at these levels. I want to see it move above the 40-day before I'd be interested in buying it. Now, the 40-day line is 31.51, and currently it's 31.05. So it's about $50 below that. So I think you want to be careful. It does have a slightly downward trend. I don't like to buy on a downward trend. So that's my opinion on Amazon. I don't think I would buy it at these levels. I think it's probably going to go lower. It's going to go lower. Now, is it going to fall out of the sky? I doubt it, but it's definitely it's trending lower. So I wouldn't be trying it trending lower. Good afternoon, Jim. This is from Jay. Blink had another strong day. This is a really interesting, cool little stock. It's based actually in Miami of all places, but it's a cool company because what they do, and I initially, when I initially invested in this one, I sold out before the earnings, but this is a really interesting little company, and what they do is they go around to convenience stores and bodegas and that kind of thing that have 2 or 3 parking spots, and they put up these little electric vehicle charging stations, and it's a great little business because it's all, you just come up to there, you plug it in, you put your card in, and boom, they do a revenue share model with the owner of the property, and I think it's a really great idea. I didn't even know these people existed. I started doing some research, and I looked on their website, and I found that right in my neighborhood there was a Blink charging. So I went down to the green spot. That's the place that it is in my neighborhood, and there it was. I mean, so it's a cool little company. Now let's look at the chart. I'm here. I am a free advertisement for Blink, but I do think it's a great area. It's pulled up very nicely. It's at 14.78, up 53 cents, which for a stock like this is incredible. Now, if it can hold this 14.58 level, you might have a buy here. And I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw a little. I'm going to draw on the chart here. I'm going to go to the weekly chart because that's kind of how we see how it's trading. As you can see, we're at basically an all-time high for this. For this. Interestingly enough, William O'Neill proved many years ago now that typically many of the best buys on stocks are when they're at their all-time highs. I know that sounds very counterintuitive. They always tell you, well, buy low, sell high. No. Actually, when a stock is making new highs, that's when you want to buy it because that's when the pressure is moving up. So we definitely have that here. It has made a new high. Now, will it hold this? I don't know, but we certainly have a lot of nice volume there, and this is on the weekly chart. So when you're looking at a stock to buy and a place to buy it, and remember, that's very important because it's not enough just to know what stock to buy. It's most important to know kind of how to enter the trade. And with this one, we are definitely at a all-time high, which is very, very good. So that's very bullish. And if you look at the volume here, we have excellent volume. So let's see if we can try to do the smell test on it. On the checklist, it's got 7 out of 9. That is excellent because 6 out of 9 is my minimum, and of course 7 out of 9 is even better. Now, of course, if you've got 100%, that's the best. Now let's look at the ownership in terms of the funds. We have increasing fund ownership on this one. So this is very bullish too. Let's look at the industry. The industry actually is really good. There are 197 different industry groups, sectors. This is the 30th best, so it's in the top third of all sectors. So that's very good too. So I would have to give a thumbs up on this one. I think you can buy it actually at this level. Now, it may pull back, and you got to be careful with this one. If you do buy this at this level, at 14.78, set a stop loss 2.5% below the price. Now, why do I say that? Because the natural place where this is going to find strength and essentially a floor, there's not really a chart pattern to buy off of here, is going to be at $9.75. And why do I know that? Because that is where the 40-day line is. It will find strength there. So if you do buy it at this level, and it is what they call extended, you have to be careful. If you buy it, you want to put in that stop loss at about 2.5% to 3% below, or maybe 5% because this is such a cheap stock, below that. You don't want to let this thing pull back too much because it can change direction very quickly on you, and then you're in a bad way. But the trend right now on this stock is up. So could you buy it at this level? Absolutely. But if you do buy it at this level, be careful. And I may put this one on my watch list. And by the way, the watch list is available at Dallas Trading Floor, and then just go to the watch list tab, and there you go. And there's a little button that you can push, and it'll show you that watch list as I make it. But this, if you do buy it at this level, at the 1478 level, put your stop loss in at about 1315 or so. That's going to be your best. You're going to want to protect that, because this can pull back very severely, and it probably will. It probably will pull back. Well, actually, let me correct that. If you did buy at this level, you want to put your stop loss at about, I would say at about at about $11 on this one, because it can pull it back, but the trend is up. So be careful if you do decide to buy this one with that, because it is extended and it will pull back to that. Actually, what's better is probably to wait for it to pull back, and then as it's reversing, buy it. That's probably a better strategy. But definitely thumbs up on Blink Charging. So thank you very much for that. Very much as well. Okay, Jim, this is from Noel. Jim, is it possible if you could send out alerts when you are buying shares in the small portfolio thing? I'm working on this. Thank you, Noel. Appreciate it. I'm working on this capability in the small portfolio, and I hopefully will have something on it very shortly. I have to. It basically runs as a Google sheet, and there is script that I am working on developing that would send out an alert when I am actually doing the buy. So it's kind of annoying. You kind of have to go look at it and not look at it, and it's kind of annoying. So I am working on that. So hold on. It probably won't be this month, but hopefully I can get that so that it does send out alerts. I do try to note everything on the small portfolio as I'm trading it, just so you can see kind of what my thinking is and why it's on the wish list. Why am I buying it? Why am I buying it wrong, or whatever. So thank you for that. Thank you for that, Justin. That's a great thing, and I am definitely working on that. So that's something that definitely would like to to have. And here's Christian saying, thoughts on DraftKings. I covered DraftKings. I think it's very good. I think it's in a buyable range, and I do think that the trend has changed. But also, Christian writes in that he's interested in Dick's Sporting Goods. Of course, that's symbol DKS. So let's look at Dick's to see DKS, and of course, it has changed direction, unfortunately, and it is not at a level that you could. That it's not at a level that you can buy it at, unfortunately, right now. But I want to show you the chart just to kind of give you an idea. We've pulled back a little bit below. It's pulled below the 40-day line. This is something we don't like to see in terms of a change in direction. You always want to buy something as it is moving higher, and it's interesting. In stocks, you want to buy a stock as it's high and moving higher, and you also want to sell a stock when it's going higher. You kind of just don't want to do anything when anything is going lower. Currently, we have that situation, unfortunately, with Dick's. Dick's Sporting Goods has a short trend. It's fallen below that 40-day moving average. That's very significant, because even though it's pulling up today, you can see this little relative strength line. I just kind of want to show that to you there. It's moving up. It still is on this downward slope. So unless we get it moving above, unless the thing moves above about the $61 level, it's currently at $54.30, up $3.40. Unless it does there, I'm really not interested, because I need to see a change in trend on this on this issue. And currently, the trend is down. Now, can it break that trend? Absolutely. If it did break that trend, it would then resume its upward motion. But currently, short term, it is in a downward trend. It has an excellent checklist, though. 8 out of 9, and then in terms of the fund ownership, very strong fund ownership at 657 funds that are in it. So would I buy Dick's at this point? Probably not. Even though they did come through earnings, they had some good earnings. Another red flag here is that the earnings for Dick's Sporting Goods is in 6 days. It's just too close to earnings. You don't want to buy this thing into earnings, because typically that's where you get the nastiest snapbacks are on earnings. So you might. I don't. I think this is possibly a watch list. It is in a downward trend though, so I wouldn't necessarily be interested in a downward trend. And how do you find the trend? Well, you look at the weekly chart. The daily chart, it has too much noise. You're not going to see the trends as well on that. So start with that weekly chart. Look to see if there's a trend. Unfortunately, with Dick's Sporting Goods, there's a downward trend, so I can't recommend Dick's, unfortunately. And also, they're coming into earnings. So, but I appreciate the question very, very much, Christian. It's potentially a good one. Thoughts on Costco? They are giving a $10 share dividend. Wow, that's awesome. $10 a share on that is good. Let's look at Costco. Unfortunately though, and this is my little rant on dividends. Many times companies will give huge dividends, basically as a bribe to keep their shareholders there. Be very careful. Be very, very, very careful about Turks. People bearing gifts. Okay, because people bear gifts for a reason. Typically, the reason for a high dividend is they are underperforming the market and they want you to stick around. So just be careful with that. This currently is trading at $382.23, up $3.39. So, but it does have a relative strength of 76. That's okay. I like to see at least 80 though on that. Let's look at the chart and let's look at the checklist to see if we have something that we can buy here. We have Fidelity Contrafund, and I love Fidelity Contrafund and MFS. By the way, MSF Growth A, MFS is the company that invented the mutual fund many, many years ago. So awesome company. Very good. I like seeing these guys here in that. So that's good. Let's look at the checklist. The checklist is 7 out of 9, and that is strong. That is strong. And let's look at the ownership. The ownership is going up. We do have funds coming in. That's always a good sign. Now, can we look at can we look at the industry group? Here's a problem. Costco is in the 119th rank in the industry groups. There's 197 of them. So I don't like that. Now, getting back to the dividend, would I buy this stock? Well, this is a potentially kind of a good, if you're looking for a buy and hold thing that just kind of constantly goes up, this is looking good. So where would I even buy this thing? Well, I would buy it if it pulled back to the 40-day line, and it definitely did. It pulled back in the early part of November. Costco probably the best place to buy this was about 360. It's currently a little bit extended from that at 382.23, only up about 31 cents, which is not a lot considering this is a $382 stock. So would I buy it here? No. I do think that we're going to see a trend reversal. It's kind of looking like currently the trend is up, so that is good. But it's looking a little bit like we may be seeing a trend reversal. I'm looking at these candles here, and they're both pulling up and then pushing down. So there's some serious resistance on the Costco price at 384.87. So here's the thing: if it moves above 384.87 on strong volume, then I think you could possibly come into it. Other than that, I wouldn't buy this until it had come above 384.87. My only concern about this stock is it's a good stock, but earnings are due basically in 3 weeks, and basically I just think that there's other better places. It only has a relative strength. It has a relative strength below 80, so I don't like that, and it's a 76 relative strength. So I think this is kind of part of the right now the general movement. It seems like out of some of these bigger caps into some other sums. So I think it's a watch list, but not a buy. I don't think it's a buy at all, unfortunately. Thoughts? This is from Kyle Johansson. Hi Jim. Any thoughts on USA Truck? USAK is the symbol. Let's look at it. USAK. Yeah, let's look at that stock. USA Truck, you know what? Interesting chart, and it looks like it has retaken the upward trend. So I do like that. Just looking at that, just really, really quickly, we do have, we do have a trend, and I do like it's an upward trend. And we're looking, of course, at the weekly chart first. Uh, in the short term, there has been this downward trend. Okay, so could we buy this right now? Well, probably not the very best time to buy it, only because the trend on this stock is downward. It has a relative strength of 91, though, which is excellent. This is a watch list stock. Basically, what we're waiting for here is we're waiting, in order to buy this, we're waiting for a change in the direction of the of the motion. Unfortunately, this only has 4 out of 9 on my checklist, so it does not meet the minimum requirement here, unfortunately. The funds are also decreasing in this. They have been selling off. So, and one is the industry sector. 71, not bad, out of 197, but still not the best of the best. So what would I do here with this stock? I would probably not buy it. And the reason is because the trend is wrong. It is actually in a downward trend currently. It has fallen below the 40-day line, which is a major point of resistance. If it falls through that, it's likely to continue lower. And also, it does not have a strong checklist. So I would have to pass on USA Trucking. I would have to pass on it. But I thank you very, very much for the question. It may change. It may change character. So you never know. Okay, so this is a question from Arnold. Thank you very much. Arnold is in Southern California and always has great questions. So I just would shout out to him. I'm in Tesla big. Right on. Okay, this is excellent. Will there be a pullback before 500? You know what? I think that here's the key, Arnold. Congratulations, by the way. Hopefully you got the trade alert, and it's so exciting when people make money in this stock. I just really like that. that makes my day. Will it pull back below? You know what? We'll see tomorrow how it moves. But it's looking pretty good. I mean, this is the weekly chart. Let's go to the daily, kind of look to see how it's been trading. Yeah, it pulled up very nicely today. Now it's just shy of the 502.49 buy point. If it pulls above that on heavy volume, now if we have another up day tomorrow, and it pulls above this 502, then I think it's game on, because I think we'll even have a stronger movement to the upside. So there is key level on this. It may bounce, but there's a key level. It's 502.49, and we'll see what happens. But the relative strength line is looking really good. It's a 98, and it's upward trending. So that, in and of itself, at least for the short term, is a very strong indicator. There's my arrow. It's not the great. There we go. There's my arrow. So I do really, really like this. And of course, this is possibly trading on the news that the S&P 500 index will now have to include Tesla. So this will be a major portion of the S&P because it's such a large cap stock. Let's look at the checklist. The checklist, again, excellent, 8 out of 9. The only thing this doesn't meet a total home run on is the earnings per share rating is not 80 or better. It's not. If it were 80 or better than that, we would be in the top 20% earnings per share. The earnings are good on this stock, but remember, with the market, we're looking forward about 18 months. So we're looking at the future of the company, and the future of the company is very bright. I have to say, it's very, very bright. Also, we have very nice funds. Now, here's what's going to happen probably, and this is part of the reason that the stock is pushing up so nicely, I believe, is because we have funds that are starting to move into it. Now, last quarter, there was a little bit of a fall off. Well, no, there wasn't. I'm excused. There was an increase in the fund ownership. But we have some of the very best funds in here. Fidelity Contra Fund is in there. American Century, this is an excellent fund. And Vanguard Prime Cap. So these are all very strong in terms of institutional buying. And remember, it's the institutional buying that pushes the stock higher. It is not it is not typically retail buyers. So that's one of the things that I really like about it. Let's look at the industry. The industry rank is 7 out of 197. That's excellent. That's in the top 5% of all sectors in the economy. So that's very, very good. So everything is looking very, very strong right now for Tesla, but it needs to close above that 502.49 level in order to be going high. Going higher. That's the next buy point. We had an interim buy point of 465.90. The next buy point is 502. If it moves beyond 502, then I think you're safe to add if you've already been in or start a new position in Tesla. I think it will go higher. So, my opinion, and thank you very much, Arnold. Appreciate it very, very much. Okay. What should we buy? Everything seems overextended. That is true. That is true. There's a lot of stuff to buy. I recommend if you're looking at, something to buy and kind of, where I'm looking is that I have this thing called the small portfolio watch list. And I just kind of want to show you this. And this is available on my website, www.Dallas Trading Floor, and just go to the watch list tab, and then there's a little button that you can push, and you can see this. But anyways, what I do is I put stocks on here that are getting ready to break out or have broken out, and then I show kind of, where the pivot is on them, and then kind of how it's traded, whether it's in the buy zone or not. Currently, I just put on St. Joe Company, very interesting company. They're the largest private landholder in the state of Florida. They used to be a timber company. But now they're sitting with tremendous numbers of property, basically it's in Northwest Florida is where most of their holdings are, but it's tremendous in terms of the amount. $30 is the pivot on that, and I do think that one I just added that as well. But that's kind of a different real estate play as well. But anyways, I update this pretty much every day. I'm trying to put things on or off on this list. Now, the ones that I have highlighted here, those are the ones that are actually in that I have that I am trading, and I want to show you that here. This is on one of the tabs. It's the portfolio tab, and this shows you kind of where I'm trading. Now, currently, right now, I am up on everything except for Cloudflare.net. I sold out a position right before earnings, and then I rebought it, and so it's kind of struggling right around there. It's off about $2. Not too bad, really, but I'm off on this. Everything else I'm fairly good on today. This is a Tesla buy that I made today. I'm up about 3% on that, and the one I made yesterday I'm about 8% up. So this kind of gives you an idea of how I'm trading, and of course that's available at www.Dallas Trading Floor. All you have to do really is go over there, and then if you want a link that you can get to so you can see everything, then you just first and last name and a good email address, and of course it's all free, and just tell your friends about it. Anyways, thank you. All right, so where should I set this? Good question. Thanks, Gunnar. This is a very good question. Where should you set the stop loss? And this is something that you should always consider, and I really appreciate this question because this shows a lot of kind of knowledge. Whenever you buy something, you always want to make sure that you set your stop loss so that if there's a pullback, and pullbacks happen all the time, that you're protected, that you always protect your capital. Try never to take more than a 7% hit on anything you ever buy. And if you do this, and you're wrong, and I'm wrong a lot, I like to be right more than I'm wrong, but I'm wrong a lot, this protects your capital base. So it's very, very important. Where would you do that? Well, it depends on where you bought. If, for instance, you bought at where I bought yesterday at the 450 level, the stop loss I have a stop loss right about here, which is about at the let's see if we can get that going here. It's right about here, if you can see this on the list, about 416. That's sort of where my stop loss is set. Now, if you bought it higher, if you bought it above 465.90, then you're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive on your stop loss. So If, for instance, you bought it at 465.90 or above, set your stop loss at about 2.5% lower than 465.90, or approximately. That's going to give us, that's going to give you about a 455 stop loss on that one if you bought it above 465.90. But you get the idea. If you buy it, if you buy it above a buy point, and the buy point on Tesla, at least in the short term, 465.90, you want to set your stop loss slightly lower than that. You want to set your stop loss lower than that, about 3 to 5% below that. If you are buying below the buy point, just below the buy point, let's say, for instance, you bought at a 450 like I did, you're going to set the stop loss a little bit wider at about 7% down, or in my case, 416. So you basically want to set it at no more than 7%. But if you're buying below the if you're going below the buy point, you want to set it a little bit tighter, typically 3.5 to 4% below that. So in that about that range. Now the next buy point for Tesla is 502. So that kind of gives you an idea. If you're buying below that 502, anticipating a move through that, you want to set your stop losses much tighter, about 3 to 3.5% or 4%. If you're buying above that buy point, then you want to set a wider stop loss, maybe a 7% stop loss. So that's a very, very good question. I really appreciate it. And stop losses are a great way to trade because you don't have to watch the screen all the time, and you don't have to be a day trader. And I use them all the time. I use them both to buy and sell. Typically, when I'm selling things, I will set a limit price and then, come back later and drink some coffee and see if if there's if I've bought it or not. So it's a great way to do it. It's a great way to use the power of the computer. All right. Well, CRSR, excellent. This is one that thank you for watching. I have this on the I have this on the list here, and let me see if I can come back to CRSR here. And I had a slide on. I made a slide on it this morning. I haven't put this one on the I haven't put this one on the watch list yet, but I probably will. And I just kind of want to show you the slide that I took earlier. I was looking at this, and the numbers were just terrific. It's an IPO, and typically I am not as excited about IPOs. I like to wait for them to come out, but this one I really, really like. It's up $3.33 when this was taken, about 10%. So terrific. It's got very nice volume. 2.5 million shares. Now, typically, I don't like to buy anything that doesn't have volume of at least 1 million shares a day. That's another thing, too. Also has very, very nice, very, very nice volume. It's up 19%. So, I mean, where can we buy this thing? It's going to be tough to buy this. I do believe it's going to pull back a little bit, probably at about looks like the 2650 level. So it may pull back significantly. So don't just go out and buy this thing. Wait possibly for it to correct downward. But I think this is a tremendous one, and I think that you could see some really, really nice action on this one. If you do buy this, if you do buy this one above about $33 or so, definitely set that stop loss very tight at about 2.5% lower than that, or maybe about 31. So if you buy it at, like, say 33. Set that stop loss at 31 because it can pull back on you. But I do think that the trend on this is just stellar, and I'm going to be probably putting it on the watch list. So thank you very much for bringing that up. Boy, I can't seem to. Let's see if I can get to any more questions. I'm almost at an hour. I sort of have jammered on here. Thoughts on Boom? Okay, this is one I don't know. I'm not familiar with this. So let me pull over to this one. Thank you very, very much for this. BOOM is the symbol. BOOM. And let's take a look. Yeah, this is DMC Global, and it basically makes explosion welding clad metal plates to be used to construct pressure vessels and heat exchangers. So it's kind of a Boilermaker kind of thing. Interesting. It's got a relative strength of 80. I like that. it definitely has an upward trend. It's been moving. It's been moving very nicely. Let's look at the weekly chart to get the general overall trend direction. Yeah, definitely good. It's making a nice upward trend. I definitely like seeing that. That's something. So it passes the first of the smell test. The first of the smell test is, are we in the right direction? Yes, we are in the right direction on this, and it is pulling higher. It is pulled above the 200-day moving average. Never, 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 by the way, do you want to buy a stock that's below the 200-day average. You just don't want to do it. This is pulled above the 200-day average, so that's very good. Currently, it's trading at 41.77, up about $4.31. That's 11%. And it's got good volume. But here's the thing about it. This is a relatively thin stock. The volume on it is 475,600 shares today. Well, I like to see at least 1 million shares. So that's kind of a black mark for me, unfortunately. It's got a relative strength of 80, so that's very good. This is a relatively smaller stock. Let's look at the checklist. The checklist is 5 out of 9. This is not good enough for me. I typically like to see at least 6, so that doesn't make it there. What about the fund ownership? Well, fund ownership is decreasing just slightly, but it's kind of holding its own. Here's what I'm going to say about this one. And I'm looking at the sales growth here as well, because that's also very important. Remember, in a growth stock, it's the profits are important, but sales growth is more important. And unfortunately, quarter over quarter and quarter over year, the sales are down. So I can't recommend this one, unfortunately. But I appreciate you asking. It just doesn't meet my criteria, unfortunately, enough to be Dale. Okay, last question is on NVIDIA. This is a stock that I don't know how long you've been looking at my show, but I was touting this very big about February timeframe, and I definitely held it. I have sold out of it, but this year has been just a stellar year for NVIDIA. It's just moved extremely nicely. Okay, so here we go. Here's with the weekly chart. We still have a nice trend. We still have a nice trend in the stock. Well, there we go. We still have a nice trend, but we've pulled back to the 40-day line. Let's look at the daily to see if there's any entry points in here. Yeah, it's essentially got a cup with handle sort of base. The buy point is 573.94. It's currently at 537.15. This unfortunately is not it. This may offer a good opportunity for buying, but right now earnings are basically tonight. So we'll see. On this one, obviously this is after the close of business. Don't buy this one until it comes through earnings. I suspect that this is going to pull back on earnings tomorrow, but you never know. I mean, it might not, but this is probably going to pull back. If it pulls up and it pulls above 573.94, then I think you could possibly go into this one. This is a watch list. This is not a buy right now. It's a watch list until it comes through earnings. You absolutely have to be disciplined on this one, because this could, upon earnings, it could pull back significantly. So, that's sort of my take on the stock. So thank you very much for listening. And by the way, everybody, if you want to get trade alerts, action trade alerts, super easy to do. All you have to do is go to www.dallastradingfloor, and then just go to the front page, and it says, get free action trade alerts, first and last name, and just do that. And also, I would also appreciate, if you possibly could, it would be the greatest thing if you could subscribe, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It definitely helps me offset a lot of the costs. So till tomorrow, I'll be back at 2:30 tomorrow Central Time. And until then, happy trading, and stay safe.